Dan Larson here at the photo booth with a little bit of everything today. Some recent acquisitions, some flea market finds, and some mail. Up first, recent acquisition. Number one is Overwatch Ultimate's Zarya. I think that's how that's pronounced. I don't play Overwatch, and I didn't look up any videos prior to hitting record on the camera to see how that was pronounced, and I've never met anyone named Zarya. But I think she's Russian or something. I don't know. Anyway, this is the figure Hasbro's Overwatch Ultimates, the 6-inch action figure line from the Overwatch things. Picked her up at a Walgreens, which if you had told me years ago that after the demise of Toys R Us, that Walgreens was going to be one of the best places you could go, a drugstore was going to be one of the best places you could go to find action figures, I would have said you were crazy. But I also said that would be fine because there were more Walgreenses near me than there were Toys R Us's. Anyway, I grabbed this one there. It's a really nice figure. I'm not getting all of the Overwatch figures. I'm just grabbing the ones that really appeal to me. That said, I have most of them so far, and there's still one or two I need to get. Overall, very impressed with this piece. I loved the character design. Hasbro's lacking in some spots, though. I appreciate... First of all, they're putting out way too much stuff this year, and I cannot even keep up, and that's fine. It's forcing me to sort of pick and choose and decide what I really am into with whatever lines it is, all the lines. But there's definitely been a few spots where you're noticing them start to make some compromises, and, you know, all the articulation, all the stuff, accessories, alternate hands, and whatever, and then this is all just unpainted, and normally I don't gripe on stuff like that, but that really stood out to me, and I'm gonna bring in recent acquisition number 2 here, which is Power Rangers Lightning Collection, also from Hasbro. This is Beast Morphers Red Ranger, aka Go Busters, as it was known in Japan, aired in 2012. This is Red Buster. I actually watched it back in 2012 because I'm a Sentai snob. But back then, I know there was, I don't remember the exact details between how it played out, who owned Power Rangers what. But I feel like at its peak, Power Rangers was only like a year or two behind the Sentai series. They'd get released in Japan, the series would play out, and then a year or two later was on in the US, you know, adapted and changed over to Power Rangers. And now, like, the Pirate Ranger series, I can't remember what it was called here in the US, but it was the big anniversary series with the pirate themes. You know, that was Gokaiger. That was before this series, and then, you know, that hits here, and now they're doing Go Busters, which was just after Gokaiger. It's just a mess. Anyway, my bigger point here is that this Lightning Collection and Overwatch Ultimates are both brand new, and they're really nice, and they came right out of the gate, hitting big, awesome detail and paint, articulation, accessories, and everything. And I feel like we're not that far along. And, you know, we're already seeing some of this sort of paint breakdown where you're getting overspray and flecks and stuff and just unpainted things. And it's just, some of it still looks good, but it's starting to feel a little half job there. Like, it's not, you know, like some of the stuff is getting just sort of churned out, and it's not getting the same degree of quality. And that, you know, it's like, pull back on the amount of product if we can, you know, focus on, and I hate to be that guy because normally I don't harp on those kinds of things, but it's something that I've seen in some of the figures recently, even though overall I'm still like a 90% everything is awesome as far as these things are concerned. And I'm assuming that we're going to get full teams of all the Power Ranger teams that they've put out 1 or 2 figures for so far. So here's hoping. For flea market finds, I hadn't been to the flea market in a while, and we decided to remedy that this weekend. Very first table, very first flea market. This booth isn't tall enough for Boba Fett. There's a 12-inch vintage Boba Fett just sitting right there, and I'm like, hey, buddy, you look like you need a good home. You should come for a ride with me. I do already have one of these, and by no means am I looking to have a 12-inch Boba Fett. That's crazy. But this one was in exceptional condition. Color looks great. Stickers look great. Rangefinder's on there. He has his belt. More importantly, he had his cape. I do have a 12-inch Boba Fett already, so I wasn't necessarily looking to get the figure itself. What I really wanted was this cape, and it is original, and it's in really, really great shape. Obviously, these elastic straps have let go quite a bit. Mine already has the belt as well. I'm missing the jetpack and the Wookiee scalps, the braids, and his gun. But to get this cape, in just excellent, excellent condition. You know, I was just, you know, I was willing to pay the price he was asking. He was asking 25 for the whole thing. I got it for 20, which I would have been happy to pay. You know, if you're going to order this cape online in this condition, you're probably going to pay 25, 30 for it anyway, at least. But there's like no stains. It looks really, really great. So I'm happy to add that to my existing Boba Fett. And then this guy can become trade fodder or something at some point. Actually, yeah, let's leave him in the back there. I also grabbed the second stop I made. The second stop was this bag of, you know, the first thing that caught my eye was just there's a bag of stuff on the ground, and it's got a bunch of colorful little toys in it, and I'm gonna go see what's in it and what they want for it. So I grabbed the bag and I was like, hey, how much for the bag of stuff? And the guy said, I want 15. And I was like, 15? That's too much. How about 10? And he was like, no, 15's my line. And I was like, yeah, but... And he's like, you can get $1 each for him. I'm like, I'm not selling... Whatever. So I managed to get it all for $12.50. And I tried to talk him down a little bit more because I was like, hey, man, there's a knife in this bag. And he's like, yeah, the knife is for cutting off the feet of all the figures. And I was like, what's wrong with you, guy? And so I paid him his $12 or whatever and got the whole thing. So inside... I wasn't so much excited about the Gormiti figures. I don't really know that much about Gormiti and never really... Ooh, translucent. Didn't really collect them in the years that they came out. I mean, there's some cool little critters and creatures and stuff, monsters and whatever in here. I don't know if there's a game or a show or anything that goes with them. But most of the designs, like, don't really do much for me the way that like Muscle or Battle Beasts or anything do. Some of these are cool, but for the most part, I think a lot of these are just sort of forgettable. No offense to anybody from Preziosi that might be watching. For me, it was more about, get all these guys out of here. It was more about the Marx Presidents. I collect these guys. And this single purchase here, hang on. This single purchase more than tripled, I think, my total collection. I had seen a whole set of these things. I think there's 35 in total. There's from back in the... Oh boy, this is going to strain my presidential knowledge. Back in the... I think it ran through the 60s, 70s. I think there were 35 original figures. And I want to say it ends with President Johnson. I just don't know if... Yeah, so that's the 70s. So at the very least, the line ran through the 70s. I think they might have done Nixon. I'm not sure. I have to look it up. But I mean, this is quite a few figures. There's 35 total. Not necessarily here, but in the set. Hang on, turn around. Zachary Tyler. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24, 5, 6, 28. 28 of the 35 figures. I know that since then, they have made some of the first ladies. I think they made some of the vice presidents. And then there are definitely a few presidents that were released in more than one position. And there's actually a person out there who's continued the set and has made the missing presidents from after Johnson through current day. And he's actually like a writer for Futurama. I don't have his name handy in front of me, but so like, so before this purchase, all I had was, hang on, I had Harry Truman, George Washington. This is Teddy Roosevelt and Taft and Harding. So I had those. Those were my only painted ones. And then I had William McKinley unpainted. I had John Adams unpainted. Franklin Roosevelt unpainted. I had Mrs. Eisenhower and, of course, Mr. Eisenhower, President Eisenhower. So I had 5 unpainted, and I had 5 painted. I think somewhere I actually have another one. I want to say, I can't remember who it is, honestly, but I have one that's still in the, like, in a cellophane bag with the blister card, you know, stapled to it. I don't know where that is right now. But it's, it's definitely a painted one. So I have 6 painted, 5 unpainted. But look at this. I have all of these. So I know that Washington's a double. Truman, all right, Truman's good. Roosevelt, I think, is a double. That's a double. Taft is a double. And Harding, that's probably a double. This guy is so bland and boring. I don't even know if I'm going to see him if I is actually there. All right, this is riveting video, so I'm gonna say he's not a double. Anyway, so this is amazing. I can't even believe I got all of this. I was back at last year. When I went to RetroCon, there was a dealer that had the entire set, and he wanted like $90 or something for the whole thing, and I almost bought it, and I'm so glad I didn't, this is a much better deal. I want all this stuff. I'm not, I don't even know what I'm going to do with all that, but to grab all these presidents at the flea market like that was just amazing, and now I know that there's only a couple more I need to get to have the entire set. And then if I could just move all these guys out of the way for a second here. Thanks, guys. I also picked up a copy of Dawn of the Dead. It's a HBO video release version. Producer Greg's a big horror movie fan, and he's always been a big fan of the Dawn of the Dead and any of those zombie movies, really. Doesn't really. I don't know that he necessarily collects VHS. He definitely collects Laserdiscs. But he's specific movies. He likes to have different releases and prints and whatever. And I messaged him and I was like, "Hey, do you want this one?" He was like, "Oh my gosh, I've never seen that release before." So I grabbed that one for him. And then lastly, this amazing thing here. This is from Olmec Toys. You can see the logo up here at the top. It is Meteor Man, the superhero of the 90s. It's a bendy figure. Hard to call it an action figure. But here's the thing. He actually has a cloth cape. And I mean, for presentation, what more do you want from that? Pretty cool story on the back here. Olmec Toys, founded in 1986, African-American businesswoman and mother, into toy industry provided no black superhero toys for her 3-year-old son to play with. So she took it into her hands to go ahead and get it made. This is from 1993. I believe the movie, I would assume the movie came out the same year. I didn't look it up. I don't know if they did the rest of the cast. I don't know if they did any other movies or any other licensed figures. Definitely something that we'll have to look into. But once I saw this, I was like, there's no way I'm not grabbing that. It seemed like it was a 90s theme at the flea market this weekend anyway. If you go to my Instagram, at Toy Galaxy, you'll see that there were a lot of things that were just 90s themed. Beavis and Butthead, there was a Noid plush figure, lots of cassettes and all kinds of crazy stuff that was very interesting. But this, I absolutely had to grab, and it was great to grab it in the package like this, because this presentation is really what's important. And then lastly, Mike from Barry in the United Kingdom. I think I'm saying that right. I hope I'm saying that right. Mike sent in 2 things. One is Boba Fett number 482 for the Boba set. He is in beautiful condition. Plenty of scrapes and scratches, but overall in really actually excellent condition. Tight joints, not a lot of fading, not a lot of discoloration. And just a little bit of paint loss, but that's really great. And it's really neat to know that he spent most of his time abroad, or at least international, not here in the United States. But more importantly, thank you for that, Boba Fett, of course. More important than that to me, Mike is a model maker, designer, prop guy, and he put together this F4 Phantom. He was painting this model, and I was following his Instagram account and commenting on it, liking all the pictures and stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. What an incredible piece. The detail, I can't even begin to tell you, to even show you. Like, I don't even want to touch this thing. There's so many small details on it that I should have put it on my rotary thing here. There, now it's on my rotary thing. The detail on this is so absolutely incredible that I don't even know how you make a thing like this. I don't even know how you put this together. I don't know if you can see, like, this tiny little thing sticking off the side of it. How do you even put that on? How is that, like, How do you even attach that thing? The details on the seat belts in here with the pull cords for the ejector seats and the seat belts and stuff. Like, I don't know how you put that in there. I don't know how you attach that. I don't know how you paint it. The little pegs for the cockpit. I don't even know if my camera can pick up that degree of detail. The decals, the rivets, just everything about it is absolutely stunningly incredible. And I was like, oh man, this is crazy. You're not even going to believe this. But this squadron, you know, the Midway, my dad was on that ship. My dad was in that squadron. I have pictures of these jets, you know, the insignias and stuff were on plaques that were on our walls for years. You know, this is like, you know, part of my childhood. And Mike was like, yeah, I know, you dummy. That's why I made it. I'm sending it to you. And I was like, oh, that's neat. It was just, it's an incredible piece. And unfortunately, as good as Mike packed it, and it was incredibly well packed, some pieces did get dislodged, and these fuel tanks and a couple of these missiles and stuff came off. So I'm going to have to figure out how to send it back to him so he can repair. I'm just kidding. I'm going to have to figure out how to fix those pieces myself. But I just hope I can do justice to reassembling it and not... Like, you know, my instinct in me, the toy collector in me wants to push these cockpits shut and like put little guys and stuff in there. But I know you're not supposed to do that with this kind of thing. So I'm glad there's a case for it. I can put this lid back on it and make sure that I tape it shut or something and say, you know, don't touch this thing. This isn't the kind of thing you're supposed to touch or move or do anything with. I just appreciate the incredible work that went into it. So thanks again to Mike. Thank you for watching this and all of our videos. Hit like, hit subscribe. Check out our Patreon if you're in the position to help the channel grow. That's patreon.com/toygalaxy. Thanks for watching again. Later.